So I struggled. I remember it was the sixth grade, and I struggled with depression a lot. I remember I was 12, and I woke up one day, and I was getting ready for school, and I just started crying. And the reason that was the first time that I realized right then and there that holy shit, I hate school. And I don't like to use that word at all because there's really nothing I really hate, but oh, I hated school. And I cannot say that with any more fury, but I fucking hated school. And for a lot of time, for a lot of the years, like I was just kind of getting through it. And it just got gradually worse, especially like junior year of high school. Like that was when I was able to start driving. And so I would start pulling up to school. Like it started off me just showing up to school a little bit late. And then by the time I got to senior year, I barely showed up. Like I had severe attendance issues. I wasn't even eligible to to join to join prom because you needed an 80% attendance rate. And I think I had like 70 or less at that point. And that's a whole story. I ended up getting into prom, but that's another story. But and I remember I got counseling. I had to get counseling, and then eventually I had to start seeing a therapist. And I got diagnosed with what's called adjustment disorder. Truthfully, I to this day I don't really actually know what the fuck that even means. From what I understand, it's just like an extreme like um, reaction, emotional slash mental to like, I guess, an event or like some sort of stimuli. In my case, I guess I got extreme like anxiety, depression from school. And yeah, I remember like even like my counselor would tell me like, hey, it would like at times would be like, hey, like slow down. Like, why aren't you going to school? School's great. Here are X reasons why you should go to school and yada, yada, yada. And it was like even like the therapists, even the counselors, they were trying to help me, but it was under this guise of like, hey, you should like go to school. And obviously, like I get it, it's an education, right? And the reason why I say that is when I look back on my own journey with mental health, because like now everything is completely different. Like yeah, sure, I still like fucking am miserable sometimes, but that's just like life, you know? But for the most part, like I'm pretty like not depressed. I've been working 5 to 6 days a week. I come home and I write. This week has been super tiring. I work out. I lost so much. I lost like 40 pounds. I ran a marathon. I've traveled the world. I've done all sorts of shit in the past like 3 to 4 years. And there's no coincidence that it began when I dropped out of college. But the reason why I talk about depression is because it's, from my experience, I'm not going to say this is everybody's. I'm not even going to try to do that anymore. But from my experience, it was like when you try to fit a square peg in a round hole, right? And when you try to force it through a round hole, it's just going to break into a bunch of fucking tiny pieces. And that's pretty much how I describe my depression. And so, you know, you take this kid, right? Like when I was young, one of my favorite books growing up, like was The Human Body. It was like a Disney kids education thing, and it was taught you about the like the organ systems, you know, the digestive system, like the respiratory system, the arteries and veins. Like that was something I had to learn, was that the arteries and veins are not actually blue and red in real life. But whatever. I also loved the like reading about the planets and the solar system, and eventually that turned into like a lot of like weird astrophysics, black holes, rabbit holes. Yeah, black holes is one of them. Rabbit holes on Wikipedia in like the fifth grade, and I didn't even understand half the shit, but I was just like, whoa, this is this is super cool, right? This is crazy. What is this stuff? And at some point, I wanted to be an astrophysicist. I actually really wanted to be an astrophysicist because I was like, wow, this stuff is really cool. And then I remember too, one of the things that happened in Oh yeah, and the dinosaurs. I fucking love the dinosaurs. I remember being a kid and we would go to the dirt, the parts like where there's no like cement laid down at the in the field, and we just go digging for fossils. They were just fucking rocks. But like, the kid's imagination is like, this little rock is a leg. And so you take that kind of curious kid and has this passion for a lot of different things, and then you shove him into a something, a black box that forces him to go through. You can only pick these five subjects, and you can only learn from it. You have to wake up at this time and show to this place at this time, and kind of just have to, I don't know, I guess go about your day like that, right? You just kind of, yeah, you go there. You can only learn at these times, and that's 8 hours a day. Once you get home, you have homework to do with the puny amount of time that you have left. And you have to get around the right amount of sleep. I'm telling you right now, no, they're like no kid who went to school like got the right amount of sleep. And it's funny because we keep parroting this bullshit about, I mean, it's not bullshit. I'm saying the whole thing in general is bullshit. But them like saying, oh, you need to get 8 hours of sleep, and nobody fucking gets 8 hours of sleep. We all like to say that, but nobody actually fucking does it, especially in high school. There's probably the most sleep deprived like demographic in the entire fucking world are like kids below the age of 18. Fucking cruel, right? The ones who need it the most. And yeah, we put them through this program that sucks the soul out of them. So you put a kid through that and you tell him and he's very curious about a lot of things, but you tell him, oh, you can only listen to these ones. And you can't ask certain questions because it'll just like piss the teacher off or something, or it's like it's not that deep. So even though they say you can ask questions, it's really not. It's really not a place for curiosity. It's hostile to curiosity. And so then you wonder why they're depressed, right? And so you're like, oh man, this kid is depressed. We gotta go get him counseling and we gotta go fix him. But then we tell them, okay, well, we gotta fix you. So, you gotta like school, man. So, like, why don't you like school? Well, school is great. Why are you depressed? Oh, well, maybe it's because like you don't like school and all that sort of stuff. And well, you should like school. So it's like everything. It's like this huge gravitational pull towards make turning you into like this one-dimensional like box or cardboard cutout that just will just sit there and go through the program and be a good kid. That's it. Be meek, be, all nice and uh I don't know, get with the fucking program. And it's funny because like this isn't the US. I was born and raised in the US. And we look at Asia. We seem to look at Asia with this guys where it's like, oh man, there's no like individual like expression and all that, which is funny because I actually notice the same amount of I actually notice a lot of also individual repression over here as a result of the from the school system and many things. But that's another thing entirely. I think it's more of a universal human thing more so than just like an America thing or whatever. Whoa, that was a lot. But so anyways, on depression. So yeah, I'm this really curious kid, and you're putting me through all this bullshit, right? And so inevitably I start exhibiting these symptoms that of course would be a natural byproduct of you like shoving somebody into an environment that they don't belong, that or at least is not really optimized for them. And so that's how I have seen it. And so things things truly started to change when I dropped out of school because that was the first time. Like that was probably the first decision that I made for myself, entirely for myself. And I was like, you know what? Fuck all of you. I'm going to do this, right? And that was the beginning. And that was the beginning. And granted, a lot of shit happened immediately after, like literally 2 months, like 2 months was Valentine. After that was Valentine. I dropped out fall 2021. Then 2 months, I got my heart broken on Valentine's Day. It was really bad. But from that point on, again, lost a bunch of weight, ran a marathon. And I don't really like to get reductive and say, oh, it was all because I dropped out of college. But it was really because I was able to start learning about myself outside of like what school says I should be, right? Because there's a lot of what you're going to find as you start to like grow as an individual and as you start to learn about yourself is there's a lot of programming, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of like internal programs that you're running that you don't even realize are there and that are not even yours. Somebody else like installed them there, right? They could be your parents put them there, your teachers put them there, your friends put them there, you like who knows really? And but all of that is just kind of fucking like it just gets in the way. It basically just imprisons what your actual base operating system is, right? Whatever your base level of being is. And what you need to do is you actually need to spend a lot of time outside of that whole thing to start realizing it, to just let it start to dissolve, right? And I don't, yes, you can do that geographically. You can move to another city, another town, another country, another maybe the next like 100 years, another planet. But you can also do that internally, right? You can also retreat internally. And I don't mean like fucking lock, well, it could be. Sometimes you might have to literally lock yourself in a room, live the hikikomori life. Um, but it really means like retreat internally, like start going within yourself and looking at yourself and be like, okay, what the fuck, what the fuck is this? You for because who the fuck is this? What is this? Right? And you can only really start to get to that when you again when you start making decisions for yourself. And I mean like for yourself because what I have found from my experience is that you kind of get this trained into you where it's like, well, you kind of have to, yeah, sure, it's like your decision, but really it's kind of like it's it's like it's like when I put like a set of treats down for a dog, right? And I'm telling you, you get to choose between like you can choose between like this treat and this treat. And the dog's like, "Oh, great, I have a choice." Well, yeah, sure, but like you you the person like curated a bunch of shit, whatever you think is best, and then you put that down for the dog, right? And the reality is that's what's happening too. Is people are going over here and they're limiting the scope of reality, which is infinite, right? You cannot actually put any limits on reality. That's the grand illusion of this, right? They put their own arbitrary limits on it, and then they serve that to you on a plate, and then they tell you that's it. That's all you're getting. And so it just becomes like this weird pyramid scheme where we're just fucking playing hot potato with all these different like filtered, ultra filtered, fake synthetic versions of reality. And so you need to realize like, oh, I'm going on a diet. I'm gonna fucking fast because I don't want to eat this shit. I want to see for myself what the flavor of reality actually is, whatever that is. It's very abstract to you, but you can only start to get there when you start making decisions for yourself. And and for me, depression, like looking back now, depression was simply just kind of like me getting spiritually neutered, where basically it's like your fundamental right as somebody that in this reality is you are not able to experience reality to the fullest that you can.